Alex had never thought of himself as particularly lucky. Living on the outer rim colony of Urindor 5, life was harsh, unpredictable, and full of small disasters. The colony was barely more than a cluster of reinforced shelters and workshops, with alien flora and fauna creeping at every edge. Every day was a battle to survive the cold nights, to fix broken machines, to scavenge what little resources were available. But tonight, Alex thought, might take the crown for the strangest moment in his life. He sat hunched over a small communication panel, wires scattered across the floor. The low hum of the colony's energy core filled the room, mingling with the soft groans of the building as it settled. Alex was focused, his hands moving quickly but carefully, trying to repair a damaged transmitter before the storm outside destroyed it completely. The wind howled against the reinforced walls, rattling the metal and making the dim lights flicker. Just as he tightened a final connector, a soft click came from the doorway. Alex froze. It wasn't unusual for people to come in unexpectedly. The colony was cramped and privacy was almost a joke, but this sound was different. It didn't carry the clumsy shuffle of boots on metal. It was quiet, deliberate. "Hello?" Alex called, his voice cautious. No answer came. And then she stepped into the room. Alex's first instinct was shock. The figure that emerged from the shadows was unlike anything he had ever seen. She moved with an alien grace, her skin smooth and iridescent under the dim lights. There was a confidence in the way she walked, a certainty that this space, his space, belonged to her. And there was something else. She wore no clothes, not a shred. Alex blinked, trying to process the sight. But the moment he opened his mouth, she smiled, not nervously, not shyly, but with full confidence, as if she had the right to be there. "This bed is mine now," she said simply. Her voice carried a strange cadence, melodic yet commanding. Alex stumbled backward. "Wait, what?" You can't just," she tilted her head, her eyes glimmering with curiosity. "I can, I choose it, I stay here. You are human, I am learning." Learning, that word barely registered. Alex felt a knot tighten in his chest. He had faced hostile weather, malfunctioning equipment, and more alien predators than he could count, but nothing had prepared him for this. "Learning what?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The alien woman moved further into the room, her steps calm and unhurried. She inspected the walls, the scattered tools, the humming energy core. "You," she said simply, "your species, I'm studying humans. Observation requires proximity." Alex swallowed hard. "Proximity meaning," her smile widened. "I stay where I please, I observe." "This room is suitable." She glanced at the bed, then back at him. "You may remain in the chair." Alex gawked. He wanted to argue, to force her out, but there was something in her posture, the way she carried herself, that made him hesitate. She wasn't threatening in the usual sense, not with weapons, not with aggression, but there was an undeniable strength, a presence that made him feel small despite his own human confidence. I don't even know what to say," Alex admitted, running a hand through his messy hair. He tried to think of a rule, a law, a colony guideline that could give him authority here, but nothing fit. She had appeared from nowhere, and her species' customs, whatever they were, seemed completely alien. The alien woman tilted her head again, studying him. "Humans often overthink. You resist without reason. You fear what is natural. I do not fear you. You do not fear me." "This is interesting." Alex blinked. Interesting. That was one way to put it. He felt a strange mix of fear, irritation, and curiosity swirling inside him. He had spent most of his life surviving harsh conditions, learning to read threats in the wild, to anticipate danger. And yet here she was, challenging everything he thought he knew about power, control, and boundaries. Fine," he said finally, though his voice carried more tension than acceptance. "You can stay, but don't touch anything. Don't move my tools. Don't." "Rules are not required," she interrupted, her voice calm. "Observation is mutual." Alex frowned. "Mutual?" she nodded, stepping closer to the bed and sitting gracefully on the edge. I learn from humans. You may learn from me if you wish. Interaction benefits both. Alex let out a long breath, trying to steady himself. He had survived alien storms that ripped through the colony's walls. He had repaired machines under freezing rain with his hands bleeding. He had stared down creatures that could crush a human in a single strike. And yet, he realized, this might be the most difficult thing he had ever faced. Not because she was dangerous, she clearly could be, but because nothing in his experience had prepared him for an alien challenging human social norms so completely. You observe humans, he asked cautiously. Yes, study behavior, study problem solving, study courage, she said. You will demonstrate this, you will teach me. Alex frowned. Me, why me? She tilted her head, her eyes glinting. You are capable, you survive, you think. You adapt. You are human. There was a pause. Alex wanted to protest, to argue that he was just an ordinary human, one who often failed at simple tasks and barely survived by luck, but she didn't seem convinced by self-doubt. Instead, she smiled as if seeing through all excuses. Alex realized slowly that she wasn't there to harm him. She wasn't testing him physically. This was different. She wanted to see what humans could do, how they could survive, how they could think, how they could act under pressure. And somehow she had chosen him as the subject of her study. He had faced many challenges in his life, but none quite like this. He glanced around the small room, cluttered with tools, scraps, and half-fixed machines. The storm outside battered the colony walls. The low hum of the energy core filled the silence between them. You really are staying? He asked, his voice a mix of disbelief and resignation. She nodded. Yes, I will stay. Observation begins immediately. Alex ran a hand down his face. Observation begins immediately. Right. He didn't know whether to be annoyed, scared, or intrigued, probably all three. And that's when he realized the strangest part. He didn't feel completely powerless. There was something about humans that she didn't understand yet. Something about resilience, creativity, and problem-solving under pressure. He had survived every hardship this colony had thrown at him. Maybe, just maybe, he could survive this too. Over the next hour, Alex watched as she inspected the room. She examined the communication panel he had just repaired, tilted her head at the design of the bed, and tested the strength of the walls. She asked questions, sometimes simple, sometimes absurd, about human habits and logic. Alex answered as best he could, careful not to reveal too much about the colony's weaknesses. You repair quickly, she observed finally. Efficient, resourceful, humans impressive. Alex swallowed hard. Thanks, I guess. Guess, she asked, her eyes narrowing slightly. You are capable, you underestimate yourself. That is common, he laughed, a short, nervous sound. Yeah, maybe, but this is different. You just walk in and claim my bed. And now you're telling me I'm impressive, she smiled again. Humans are full of contradictions. You survive because you are unpredictable, because you adapt. That is strength, I observe it. Alex shook his head, half amused, half bewildered. You're strange. I don't even know your species name, and here you are lecturing me on human strength. Her smile didn't falter. Names are not important. Observation is. Interaction is. Learning is. The storm outside raged on, but inside the small room a different kind of storm had begun. Alex felt a spark of curiosity, a challenge he had never faced before. He realized that this encounter wasn't just about survival. It was about proving what humans could do, even under pressure that didn't involve nature or machinery, pressure that came from intelligence, willpower, and courage. By the time the colony's lights flickered from the storm, Alex had accepted one thing. He was no longer just a human surviving on a remote planet. He was a human being observed, tested, and challenged by an alien who thought him extraordinary. And maybe, just maybe, he could prove that she was right. And so, as the alien woman lay down on his bed, smiling confidently at him, Alex sat back in his chair and resolved that this would not be a night of confusion and fear. This would be the night human ingenuity, courage, and resilience would begin its quiet demonstration, even to an alien who thought she had already seen everything. The next morning, Alex woke to the low hum of the energy core and the soft light of Erendor 5 twin suns spilling through his small window. He blinked at the sight of the alien woman sitting calmly on the edge of his bed, watching him with the same confident expression she had worn the night before. She didn't speak at first. She merely observed, her eyes scanning every detail of his movements, every expression of his face. Alex rubbed his eyes and tried to wake up properly. "Good morning," he said cautiously. He wasn't sure if this was a greeting, a test, or a trap. She tilted her head and smiled. Morning observation continues. Humans begin their routines early. This is interesting. Alex exhaled sharply. You really watch everything, don't you? Yes, observation is vital. Her tone was calm, matter of fact. It wasn't invasive, it was simply the way she was. She was here to learn, and she wanted to learn everything. Alex got up, stretched, and glanced at the small tools and components scattered across the room. He had planned to finish repairing the colony's solar array today, and he needed to focus. But now, he had an audience. "You'll be following me?" he asked warily. "Wherever humans act, I may observe," she replied. Her voice carried no malice, but the certainty in it made Alex shiver slightly. She had the aura of someone who expected humans to rise to challenges. Alex shrugged. "Fine. Just don't touch anything." She simply nodded. By mid-morning, the storm from the previous night had cleared, leaving the alien landscape glistening and harsh. Alex led her outside the shelter, moving carefully over jagged rocks and frozen soil. He explained how the colony functioned, how the energy core worked, how the minimal farming pods provided food. She listened attentively, asking questions that revealed a curiosity unlike any human he had ever encountered. "You adapt well to harsh conditions," she said as they paused near a small solar panel. "Humans are resilient. You endure and overcome. That is notable." Alex blinked. "Thanks, I guess, but it's not just me. The colony, we all work together." Her eyes glimmered. "Collaboration, humans are not solitary. They combine skills, innovate, survive collectively. That is impressive." Alex felt a swell of pride. For a moment, it wasn't about surviving alone. It was about showing what humanity could do, even to an alien who might have thought humans were weak or primitive. The alien woman followed him closely, silent but attentive. She didn't interfere, but her presence reminded Alex that every move, every decision was being observed. He found himself thinking more carefully, planning more efficiently, and acting with a precision he sometimes forgot to use when alone. As they approached the colony's outer perimeter, a sudden alarm sounded. Alex's heart jumped. The colony's motion sensors had detected a predator, a lurking Xyler, a massive alien creature known to attack anything that moved too close. "Stay back," Alex warned the woman instinctively. He grabbed a nearby energy harpoon, ready to defend the colony. The Xyler emerged from the shadows, its eyes glowing faintly, its massive limbs moving silently across the rocks. Alex's mind raced. He had survived encounters with these predators before, but the alien woman was watching. He needed to prove that humans weren't just lucky, they were clever. He set traps quickly, using makeshift nets and energy barriers. The Xyler lunged, and Alex triggered the first trap. The creature roared in frustration, thrashing against the restraints. He moved carefully, leading it toward a narrow canyon where the remaining traps could immobilize it completely. The alien woman observed every move. She didn't intervene, but she nodded occasionally as if approving of his tactics. Clever, resourceful. Humans use intelligence, not just strength. That is impressive. Alex's muscles ached from the sudden exertion, but he ignored it. Every action had to be precise. The Xyler tested his planning, forcing him to adapt quickly. He dodged, baited, and trapped, each movement calculated to conserve energy and maximize effect. Finally, With one last maneuver, he ensnared the Xyler in a reinforced energy net. The creature thrashed, but it was trapped. Alex exhaled, chest heaving, and glanced at the alien woman. "You see," he asked, panting, "that's how humans survive. We adapt. We plan. We fight smart, not just hard." She smiled, a rare expression of satisfaction. Observation confirms. Humans are exceptional, not merely physical, intelligent, adaptive, courageous. Survival is skillful. Alex felt a surge of pride. This wasn't just about him anymore. This was about proving the capability of humans, even to a being whose species might have considered humanity inferior. The day continued with more challenges. Alex led the alien woman through the colony, showing how they repaired equipment, rationed resources, and even navigated the occasional alien wildlife threat. Each small task became a demonstration of human ingenuity. He used minimal resources to repair broken equipment, creating clever workarounds when standard tools failed. He anticipated problems before they occurred, thinking 2 steps ahead. The alien woman watched silently, occasionally making observations that revealed her analytical mind. Efficiency is remarkable. Humans do not rely solely on tools. They improvise. Adaptation is inherent. Alex grinned despite his exhaustion. That's humans for you. We survive because we think, and we never give up. As the day turned to night, a larger challenge emerged. The colony's energy core began to fail under the strain of the storm from the previous night and the increased workload. If the core went offline, the shelters would freeze, and the colony would be in serious danger. Alex rushed to the control panel, assessing the damage. Sparks flew, circuits fried, and the hum of the core grew erratic. Panic began to rise in the colonists' eyes. The alien woman approached. "You need assistance." Alex shook his head. "No, this is human territory. I handle this." He worked tirelessly, rewiring circuits, replacing broken components, and stabilizing the energy flow. Every move had to be precise. One mistake could doom the colony. The alien watched quietly, occasionally tilting her head to examine his technique. "You adapt under pressure," she said finally. "Humans excel when survival depends on it. That is extraordinary." Hours passed, but Alex didn't falter. His focus, determination, and quick thinking kept the colony alive. By early morning, the energy core stabilized and the shelters were safe. Exhausted, Alex slumped against a wall, breathing heavily. The alien woman approached, standing over him. "You did well. Observation continues, but humans prove themselves again." Alex managed a tired smile. "Yeah, we do, don't we?" For the first time, he felt a sense of accomplishment that went beyond mere survival. He had proven something important, not just to himself, but to a being who had come to observe humanity. Humans were clever, resilient, and capable of facing challenges that might seem impossible. Over the following days, the alien woman stayed close. She continued to observe, sometimes testing Alex with questions, sometimes simply watching him interact with the colony. Each challenge, repairing equipment, surviving alien wildlife, managing limited resources, became a way for her to learn, and for Alex to demonstrate the extraordinary adaptability of humans. He noticed subtle changes in her behavior. She no longer made bold claims about taking over spaces or asserting dominance. Instead, she began to collaborate, sometimes offering suggestions that Alex initially doubted but found surprisingly effective. A mutual respect began to form. She saw the value of human intuition, creativity, and courage, qualities her species might not have fully appreciated before. One evening, as they watched the twin suns set behind jagged mountains, she spoke. "Humans are more remarkable than I anticipated. I expected unpredictability, weakness. Instead, I observed strength, intelligence, and resilience. Survival is mastery." Alex nodded. "That's humans for you. We survive, we adapt, and we never give up no matter what's thrown at us." She studied him for a long moment, her eyes reflecting the fading light. You are exceptional human, not merely physically, mentally, strategically. You demonstrate what your species can achieve when challenged. That is inspiring. For Alex, hearing such words from an alien being, one who had so confidently entered his room, claiming his bed without hesitation, was both humbling and empowering. He realized that survival wasn't just about enduring nature or facing predators. It was about ingenuity, courage, and the human spirit itself. As night fell and the colony settled, Alex finally allowed himself a brief moment of rest. The alien woman had claimed his bed initially with confidence and authority, but now it felt less like a threat and more like a symbol of mutual recognition. He had survived, proved himself, and even impressed a being from a species far older and more advanced than his own. And for the first time since she had appeared, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Pride, not just as an individual, but as a human. The following morning, Alex woke to the cold, crisp air of Urindor 5 high plains. The storm from the previous days had finally passed, leaving a quiet stillness over the colony. He rubbed his eyes and glanced at the alien woman, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed, watching him as if evaluating his every movement. Unlike the first day, her gaze now held curiosity tempered by respect. "Morning," Alex said cautiously. "Sleep well," she tilted her head, a faint smile touching her lips. "Sleep sufficient. Observation continues. Humans display endurance not only in activity but in rest." "That is notable." Alex shook his head with a wry smile. "You really do watch everything, don't you?" "Everything," she replied simply. Today was different. Alex could sense it. The alien woman species, known for their analytical minds and exacting standards, had sent a delegation to observe him. They were curious whether humans truly deserved the reputation she had begun to describe. He wasn't sure what challenges they would bring, but he knew one thing. He had to prove that humans were not just survivors but exceptional problem solvers, adaptable and courageous in every situation. By mid-morning, the alien delegation arrived. 3 towering figures stepped through the colony gates, their forms sleek and commanding. Their skin shimmered faintly in the sunlight, reflecting a spectrum of colors that humans could barely perceive. They moved with confidence and precision, their expressions unreadable. Alex felt the weight of their presence immediately. The alien woman standing beside him spoke calmly. "They are here to observe. They will assess humanity. Your skills, ingenuity, and resilience will be tested." Alex took a deep breath, feeling a mix of nervousness and determination. He had survived storms, predators, and the challenges of daily colony life. But this was a different kind of test, one that measured not strength or endurance, but intelligence, creativity, and courage under pressure. The delegation approached. One of the aliens, taller than the others and clearly their leader, extended a long, slender arm. "Human," it said in a resonant voice, "we wish to observe your species, demonstrate your value, show us what humans can achieve." Alex nodded. "All right, I'll do my best." The first challenge was immediate. The aliens presented a complex energy puzzle, a device that required precise manipulation to stabilize a simulated environment. Failure would cause a controlled explosion, a minor but dangerous threat. Alex studied the device, noting its alien mechanisms and unfamiliar circuitry. He had never seen anything like it. The alien woman whispered beside him, "Analyze, adapt, improvise. That is what your species excels at." Alex focused, carefully observing the patterns. He began to dismantle and rearrange components, testing each adjustment with methodical precision. Sparks flew, small alarms blared, and the delegation watched in silence. Minutes passed, each one stretching longer than the last. Alex's hands worked quickly, his mind calculating every move. Finally, with a careful twist of a connector and a subtle adjustment of the energy flow, the device stabilized. Lights blinked green, alarms ceased, and the simulated environment held steady. The delegation's leader inclined its head. Efficiency, ingenuity, human adaptation impressive. Alex exhaled, feeling a surge of pride. One challenge complete, but he knew more awaited. Next, the delegation led him outside to the jagged plains surrounding the colony. They presented a scenario designed to test human survival skills, a rapidly spreading fire caused by volatile native flora. Alex would need to navigate the terrain, protect the colony, and rescue stranded colonists. Without hesitation, he grabbed emergency equipment and sprinted toward the flames. The alien woman followed at a careful distance, observing his tactics. Alex didn't just charge blindly. He assessed wind direction, calculated escape routes, and coordinated with the colony's automated defenses to contain the fire. Colonists trapped in vulnerable positions called for help. Alex moved quickly, lifting debris, guiding them to safety, and using improvised tools to bridge gaps. Each decision required critical thinking under pressure, and every second counted. The alien delegation watched silently, analyzing his every action. When the last colonist was safe and the fire contained, the alien woman approached him. "Your species not only survives, you strategize under pressure. That is exceptional." Alex wiped sweat from his brow. "Humans don't just endure, we think, we adapt, we act when it counts." The delegation's leader stepped closer, scanning him carefully. "Your species demonstrates courage, intelligence, and resilience, yet we will observe further." They moved on to the next challenge, a simulated predator strike. Holographic creatures mimicking Xylers appeared, moving unpredictably. Alex had to protect both himself and the alien woman without harming the simulations unnecessarily. It was a test of strategy, coordination, and quick thinking. Alex used the terrain to his advantage, luring the holographic predators into traps and creating barriers with minimal resources. He directed the alien woman to positions where she could observe safely but contribute if necessary. Together, they navigated the threats, showcasing a combination of human ingenuity and emergent teamwork. By the end of the simulation, the delegation's eyes, though unreadable, seemed to hold approval. The alien woman turned to Alex, her voice carrying pride. "You not only survive, human, you innovate, you inspire, you demonstrate the potential of your species." Alex smiled, feeling a warmth he hadn't expected. It wasn't about praise for himself alone. It was about humanity being recognized for what it truly was: clever, resilient, and brave. The final test came as twilight descended. The aliens presented a puzzle of ethics and decision-making. A colony drone had detected two potential crisis points simultaneously: a shelter at risk of collapse and a malfunctioning energy pod that could fail in minutes. He could only attend to one directly. Which would he choose? Alex paused, considering both outcomes. He thought of the colony, of the people who depended on him, and of the survival lessons he had learned. With calm decisiveness, he prioritized the shelter, stabilizing the structure with quick improvisation. Then, using a network of automated drones and energy redistribution, he redirected power to prevent the energy pod from failing. Both crises were averted. The delegation watched in silence, and the alien woman finally spoke. "Decision-making, prioritization, adaptability, humans excel even under moral and strategic pressure. You are remarkable." The leader of the delegation stepped forward, extending a hand toward Alex. "Your species is more capable than anticipated. Resourceful, intelligent, resilient. Humans deserve respect." Alex felt a rush of triumph, not for personal glory but for the recognition of human capability. Every challenge, every risk, every clever solution had proven what his species could achieve. The alien woman smiled beside him, a quiet acknowledgement of his success and humanity's worth. That night, Alex sat outside the colony, looking at the twin suns setting behind jagged peaks. The alien woman sat beside him, silent but comfortable. She no longer claimed his bed as a test or challenge. She stayed because she chose to observe, to learn, and to witness humanity at its best. "You have done well," she said softly, "not only for yourself but for your species. Humans are exceptional. Not just in strength, not just in survival, but in thought, courage, and creativity." Alex nodded, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "We've always survived, we've always adapted, and now maybe we're finally seen for what we are." The alien woman studied him, her expression thoughtful. "Observation complete. Yet I will remain, to learn more, to witness more. Humans are unpredictable, clever, and inspiring. There is much to study." Alex smiled faintly. He had faced storms, predators, and technical failures, but nothing had tested him like this. And yet, he had proven not just his worth, but the worth of humanity itself. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, thinkers, and problem solvers. They were capable of rising to challenges that others might consider impossible. As night deepened and the twin moons of Erendor 5 reflected silver light across the plains, Alex realized that this encounter had changed him. He had learned that courage wasn't just physical. Adaptability wasn't just about survival, and ingenuity wasn't just about cleverness. It was about proving time and time again that humanity could thrive even in the face of incomprehensible alien scrutiny. The alien woman reached out, lightly touching his arm. "Humans have heart. You demonstrate what it means to survive and thrive. I respect you." Alex felt a quiet pride settle over him. This was more than recognition. It was a promise that humanity's spirit, clever, resilient, and unwavering, was something even the most advanced beings could admire. As he looked at the alien woman, he understood something fundamental. She had come into his room naked, confident, and claiming his bed as a test. But through every challenge, every observation, every difficult decision, humanity had spoken for itself. And now, in the quiet of Erendor 5 night, there was mutual respect. Humans had proven themselves clever, capable, and unyielding. And for Alex, that was the greatest victory of all.